Round 1 of the 2016 Chess Olympiad began today in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, and this is always a really special event. 175 countries have gathered to take part this time. That's a record number of countries, and it's always such a colourful event. Of course, it's a real mix of amateurs and professionals, but it's always really hotly contested. In the women's event, Russia and China are the top two teams. If you remember, 2 years ago in Norway, Russia won, but it should be a very good battle this time as well between those countries. In the open event, of course, China are the current holders of the title, and arguably their squad is even stronger than 2 years ago because they have a really young team and they've got even better. But they will be facing very tough competition from Russia, who haven't won since Bled in 2004. And of course the superstar American team with Nakamura, Caruana, Wesley So, Ray Robson and Sam Shankland. And we shouldn't forget the host nation, Azerbaijan, will be really wanting to perform well, and you never know, they have a very strong team. Be interesting to see how they get on. In this first round, it's a Swiss system tournament, so you get the top teams playing against the real minnows. And I'd like to show you 3 games, rather one-sided games, but they're kind of entertaining nevertheless. So let's start with a game from the match between China and Kosovo. So this is between Wei Yi and Sadiku from Kosovo. And I was particularly interested to see the opening because this move A6 against White's Tarrasch variation is an idea that I recommended on my French PowerPlay DVD. And I rather like this. Black goes for an isolated queen pawn position. White can play this in various ways, but very often you end up in an IQP position, which I rather like. You get nice attacking chances. And here, the player from Kosovo could simply take on d4, and you get an IQP position. But he chose to play c4 instead, which is also a reasonable move. So this rather blocks out White's pieces, so White should try and break down this pawn chain. And here I think Black's best is just to exchange off and then either play bishop b4 or bishop d6, followed by knight e7 or possibly knight f6 if allowed. And this is a reasonable position for Black to play. But instead Black played more ambitiously with b5, trying to maintain this sort of pawn wedge on the queen side. In principle, this would be a nice thing to do, but there are problems. In a way, he exploited this very well. Rook e1, obviously threatening a discovered attack. So bishop e7 necessary. And now a4. Already there is big pressure on Black's position. Probably the best is to try and hold things together with bishop b7, but it's already getting rather problematic. Instead, Sadiku played more ambitiously with c3, but this is a big mistake. White took on b5. Now notice this pin here. So White has given up a piece, but already you have 2 pawns for the piece, and you're probably going to get back a third as well by taking here. But things went from bad to worse, with Black trying to hold things together. Tried to keep hold of this pawn or on a6, but already White has 2 pawns, but the real problem is Black's king stuck in the middle of the board. King f8 force, obviously bishop takes b5. Well, this is horrendous. In fact, Black is not going to escape here. So Black had to play king f8, But this is really bad. Knight e5, and black's king is just in terrible trouble. It's not possible to develop normally, because after this then there is a big fork on c6. Something gets lost here. So queen d6, but now queen h5 is just deadly. And there's no decent defence here. The game ended g6, check, and now a very nice winning move. Bishop e8, and there's no defence, no decent defence to bishop takes f7 check, so Wei Yi had a very easy first game. Let's go to the match between Nigeria and Russia. So this is between Adu, playing for Nigeria, and Nepomniachtchi, playing for Russia. And Nepomniachtchi has, well, already built up a wonderful position. There are no particular tactics here, but he's just outplayed white completely. So you can see he has a beautiful queenside pawn majority. He has a wonderful bishop slicing across the board. And, well, Nepomniachtchi didn't do anything spectacular here. He just took control of the open file, and white's problem here is that if rooks are exchanged, then white can't really contest the file, because he needs to defend this pawn. So he ducked away from the open file, but of course this looks fantastic now. Knight e5, again a very simple move. After the exchange of knights, it means that black is going to be threatening to come down on d2, and if this knight moves away, then blocks the file, then the knight comes into d3, just using this beautiful outpost. White exchanged on e5, threat rook d2. Well, it's a terrible position. b3 was played, and now c3, so suddenly the tactics are working in black's favour. If this is taken, then rook d1 check forces a checkmate. So queen b1 was tried, but rook d2 anyway. If knight takes pawn, then queen h4 is going to force a mate on one of these squares. So king f1, but queen h4 anyway, threatening queen h2 check and bishop h2. f4, but now c2 is a winning move. If that's taken, then check, and that's a nasty skewer. And if knight g1, queen g2, and if queen a2, then rook d1 check obviously wins. So very simple play from Jan Nepomniachtchi from Russia, and well, Russia won their match 4-0, as did China, I should say. All the top teams won by 4-0. I don't think there were any real upsets. I should also mention that it's match points that count, so you get 2 points for winning a match, and so if you win 2.5, 1.5, it's the same as winning 4-0. Although, if you score heavily, that could count in your favour if there's a tiebreak at the end of the tournament. There are 11 rounds. One more game from the USA against Andorra match, and we have Sam Shankland playing. Caruana was rested today, so that gave the reserve Sam Shankland a chance to play on board 4, and already with the white pieces he has built up a very impressive Marozzi bind, beautiful space advantage, and he's just played b4, threatening b5. Black could play, let's say, b6, but then f4. I mean, white has such a beautiful space advantage, can't really be challenged. In the game, black played queen b6, and this was, I'm afraid, a tactical mistake. White can't win a piece straight away with b5 because of knight e5, and then the bishop drops back to d7, and this is still a very good position for white. But instead, Shankland played c5, excellent move. He has a very sharp tactical eye. If d takes c5, now b5 wins material, because if black tries to clear space for the bishop, then the queen cuts across, attacking the knight and attacking the bishop, so white wins material. So the queen came back to c7. Pawn takes, and if queen takes, well, obviously in this case white wins piece, bishop is trapped, and after pawn takes, queen d4 check, knight f6, and here black resigned when the bishop drops back. Then we have another very simple tactic, forking king and queen. So a very easy first game for Sam Shankland, and yeah, USA won 4-0. So no real surprises in that first round, but I think it's going to be a fantastic event, and by the looks of things, Azerbaijan have put on a tremendous event. It looks really well hosted. They've really spared no expense. It looks fantastic, and I'm looking forward to attending the last few rounds of the tournament. But for the time being, I'll be reporting every day on the big games. Thanks for watching.